And joining us now from Washington with analysis on this story, Chris Sands with the Hudson Institute as an expert in Canada-U.S. relations. Chris, good to see you. Do you think the U.S. snubbed Canada?
No, I don't think so. I mean, by and large, the U.S. tries, when it intervenes on Security Council matters, it's usually to try to block someone. Famously, the U.S. worked against Venezuela getting on the Security Council by backing Guatemala. But generally, our endorsement is something of a kiss of death at the UN, so we tend to take a very low profile on these contests. And I don't think Canada was in particular singled out. After all, we get along with Germany and Portugal, Canada's big rivals. I don't know that we wanted to start a fight among the three. So I think we took it the normal way we do, which is to not draw a lot of attention to who we favor, but just offer general support to everyone.
Yeah, but in a year when Canada figured big with the Olympics and all the security that was associated with that, the security associated with the G8, the G20 summits, all the aid work that we have done throughout the world, what's happened to Canada's reputation abroad?
Well, I don't think much. It's interesting because I think the United Nations is just another stage in a multi-theater world in which Canada, as you mentioned, has shined. G8 hosting, G20 hosting, the Olympics. Canada has really been on this world stage very, very prominently this year. But with the UN Security Council, you get a different kind of politics. A lot of small country blocs can rise to the occasion. It's tricky to come forward, and I thought ultimately Canada's case for that seat was very much based on past performance. We've earned this in a sense as Canadians because of all the things that we do for the UN, for the world, and for the multilateral system. What the UN often looks for, though, is a bit more of a positive case, what it is that you want to be on the Security Council to do moving forward. So perhaps reforming peacekeeping or working really hard on the issue of Darfur or Afghanistan. There are a lot of usually specific issues that are part of a UN campaign, and that was really lacking in Canada's bid this year. It was much more of a we've earned it rather than a here's what we'll do if elected. And I think that was a little bit of a weakness in the way that Canada made its case this time around.
Right, so there was that sense of entitlement that kind of put voting partners off, potentially.
It can do. You know, every country wants its seat on the council, and they are often very jealous about when it's their turn. Canada has remarkably served quite often on the Security Council. Mm. It's seen to have had a really good year, lots of time on the stage. So maybe people felt that Canada's a little too comfortable on this one, too complacent.
Yeah.
But that's all right. The worst.
Chris, I want to get to this question.
The worst people feels a bit of disappointment. Sure.
Well, what about these reports that the United Arab Emirates not only forced the Canadian military to leave its secret base near Dubai, but it also lobbied hard against Canada because Canada had blocked the UAE efforts to get more of its flights into Canada?
Well, there were a lot of issues with the Arab world this year, including the Organization of the Islamic Conference. Very few of those countries even considered voting for Canada and chose Portugal instead. I think the Arab bloc was trying to make a statement here. They were trying to support the least pro-Israel country, which was Portugal in this case. And there were a lot of rumors that that was behind Canada's loss this time around, as well as Germany's, which has had troubled relations with the Arab world. I think sometimes those things are brought out, but the bottom line is a country it stands or falls on its own case. And I think the Canadian case, while good, wasn't as strong as it could have been this time.
Listen, I just want to end off with this thought that a former United States ambassador that CTV spoke with last hour says Canada is only the latest country to suffer this kind of disappointment, but should just suck it up and get on with its important work around the world and at the UN. What do you think?
I agree with that. I think that by and large the UN, it's not a popularity contest, it's about what you can do. Canada's still going to be a world leader, still engaged in the world. The rest of us might be a little disappointed the case for Canada wasn't as strong as we know it should be, but Canada will get back. It's just a temporary setback. Canada's international engagement will stand as the best indicator of its record, of its commitment, of its presence in the world, and I expect that to continue.
Chris Sands with the Hudson Institute speaking with us from Washington, D.C. this evening. Thanks very much, Chris. Good talking to you.
Thank you very much.